All right. Well, without further ado, let's hop into this and show everybody, what this tool can do for them.
Awesome. Oh my gosh,
take it
this is
away,
really
Jessica.
happening. How do I do this? All right. So just in case you guys missed the disclaimer, I've never done a live webinar in my life. So David forced me to do this, and we've been friends for a couple of years. And I was like, hey, let's bring some value to your audience. And he's like, well, then you have to do it yourself. I'm like, great. So today you are not seeing Benson here, who's like the face of every webinar. You are seeing the behind the scenes people who work at Privy. I'm the affiliate manager, and Scott is the director of partnerships. And today you have a special treat of seeing our faces and seeing if we can make this webinar happen.
You can do it. You got this.
All right. So let's see. I need to do, so I'm obviously going to be doing a screen share, which I'm going to learn how to do that in just a second. But there are a couple of things that I do want you guys to know. In this business, there are a couple of softwares that everybody is using, right? Which is likely, PropStream, Batch Leads, and a couple of others. And everyone's like, well, what's the difference between Privy and like all these other ones? Well, let me tell you, we are actually very different because we are the only platform in the country that has direct to MLS data at scale. And so what that means is that whenever a platform claims that they have MLS data, it's usually from a third-party source, which means that either the data is out of date or it's just not accurate. So we go directly to the MLSs and negotiate these contracts using the same data that agents and appraisers are using. But instead of getting access to one of their accounts, which is not what's happening, we're actually getting the raw data from the MLS being streamed live into our software 24/7 around the country. So the software is pushing this data through algorithms and organizing it and making it easily interpretable for investors to make really quick decisions. So that's in a summary, pretty much what Privy does.
So it's real time versus where other platforms like a PropStream, they buy big data packages and like monthly they'll just dump it into their system and they'll do like a monthly update, or depending on what data they're getting and what the data source. But Privy is real time, coming in real time from the MLS system. So when somebody lists something or a listing goes away, that's updated.
Yep.
On the fly.
On the fly. So, as you guys already know, there are some challenges in this business, especially if you're doing wholesaling. It's pretty common to not be able to find deals consistently. You might be spending a lot of money on either ineffective, expensive, or very time-consuming marketing campaigns. Or maybe you're writing a lot of offers and then you're not winning the bids, or maybe you're getting leads but you're not making the numbers work, right? There's so many things that have to line up perfectly for a deal to happen. And a very common one as well is that maybe you can't find comps to prove an accurate ARV. New wholesalers are putting a lot of emphasis on the acquisition side, and then they end up getting a deal in the middle of nowhere, and they're excited they get a deal, and then they're like freaking out because they can't find a buyer for it, right? So having accurate comps is so important so that you can find a buyer quickly and also get the profit that you're expecting out of it. And then another thing too is even just finding active buyers. There are plenty of buyers who stopped buying in this current market, or just maybe they just slowed things down a bit. So even having an active buyers list is definitely a challenge for a lot of wholesalers. So all of these challenges are things that Privy has a solution for, and that's what we're going to be showing you today through this demo on, the features of what our software can do, how it can bring you value, save you time, and help you get more deals. So I'm going to do this screen share
Right down at
finally.
right should be right down at the bottom where it says present.
Okay. Present. I'm nervous, guys. I'm nervous.
All right, you're crushing it so far.
But if I click screen share, am I going to be able to choose what screen? Because I have like a million of them.
Yep, just hit present and then I've already got it set.
It's going to, okay,
You're
sorry.
good. Just hit present.
It says share screen.
Okay.
So, oh, okay. Excuse me. I probably should have grabbed water. I'm sure that anyone who's doing webinars all the time has like a checklist to make sure they don't like freak out. All right. Let's see. Privy. Where is Privy? I just had it open. Here it is. Okay, share. I think I do have water. I just need to. My chair almost fell over. Okay. I got some water. It was there. All right, guys. So so you see the screen, right?
Yeah, I'm gonna put it on. Let's see, is that the best view for us here? Or like that?
That looks good. Yeah, that's better.
That's better. Okay, let's go with that, guys.
Yeah.
Okay. So let's see.
Rodney says, take your time, Jessica. You're doing great.
Thanks for the support. Oh my gosh. Okay. So let's see. Where are we? Okay, so this is a map of the United States, in case you didn't know. So what we see here is there are different colors on this map, and they each represent something. So where you see the blue, these are actually direct to MLS markets. Right now we have about 100 of them, and it's constantly growing. So where you see the ones that are red, these are the ones that are coming soon. So there's already actions in place for us to get these direct to MLS markets, but it's still not fully live yet. So then there's also third-party data and public records, the yellow and the gray. Those are the data types that most of these other companies have. But what we have is the extra layer of quality data from the MLS on top of the third party and public records that everyone else has. So then what's really, really important about Privy, what it does that these other softwares are not doing, is that you can actually see where are all the deals happening. So you can click this button right here, fix and flip. And when you click this button, it'll show you all the investor activity in the past 12 months around the country. So with this, you can see that there are some circles that have bigger numbers and ones that have smaller numbers. The bigger numbers means there are more deals happening in those areas. So you want to look for places that have a lot of investor activity. And the reason is because if you look at a place that doesn't have a lot of investor activity, there's not going to be a lot of comps. And if there's not a lot of comps, you're not going to be able to put in a good offer with a big enough spread. And you're also going to have trouble finding a buyer because that area is not in high demand. So a big thing that we do teach here is that you want to find high investor activity areas where there's a lot of demand and a lot of comps. Most people, when they get into wholesaling, they start with, the place that they live, the place they're familiar with. But the problem with doing that is that the place where you live might not be that great for investment properties. And then you're going to kind of just be stuck in a place where you're not really going to find deals, or it's going to be really hard to close them. So Privy makes it possible to do virtual wholesaling because we give you this data in all parts of the country, and then we're able to help you to learn the markets that maybe you don't live in and that you otherwise would not know. So, so as we could we could pick pretty much any of these markets, but where you see the bigger numbers, they have a higher investor activity. So you can see Charlotte, North Carolina. You can see Indianapolis, Columbus, Ohio. Philadelphia is huge right now. They probably have the most activity there, aside from like Tampa, St. Petersburg area. But there are a lot of really good markets. I'm just going to dive in here to St. Louis. Now, when you zoom into these clusters, they actually break up into smaller clusters, and then you could see that the ones with the bigger numbers, that's really like the best neighborhoods where most of the investors are going. So, this area right here, when you zoom into this cluster, they turn into individual properties that create that cluster. Now, on the left side here, you can see that these are sold properties. The dates are here, how recently they sold. So why is this important? Because this sold data is what you can use to do your market research. It's really important that you understand what a deal is. And in some markets, you know, what's a deal in one market is not going to be in a deal in another.
Very
When
true.
you find a deal in Phoenix, it's going to be totally different from a deal in Indianapolis. If you look at like renovations in Indianapolis, they're a lot of times very low grade, not that fancy. And then when you look at one in Washington, D.C., it looks like a five-star hotel. So even the amount of money that's going into these flips is totally different. And the percentage of ARV where the buyers are willing to buy also varies a lot depending on the market. So if you have no idea anything about a new market that you don't live in, Privy is a really good tool to learn that market. So I'm going to show you guys an example. Am I talking too fast?
No, you're not talking too fast. So I want to pop in here for and to say something for everybody that's maybe new to a lot of this. So Privy really focuses on wholesaling on market properties, right? So, instead of going out and looking for a distressed property that's off market, Privy really focuses on finding properties that are on the market that have the spread in them to be a good flip deal, right? Correct me if I'm wrong, guys, but
Yeah,
that's what you guys do. That's your specialty. So I just wanted to point that out. So that's why the comp data and what Jessica's showing you is so important, because you're looking at flipping on market deals, properties that people are trying to sell actively, that you can identify which one would be a good wholesale opportunity.
exactly. And just to add a little bit more color to that, you're exactly right. We focus our sort of bread and butter is on finding on-market deals, which in a lot of ways it's, there's a place for off-market deals. And actually, once we hop into the filters, you'll see that we actually do have filters to find off-market deals as well, similar to prop streams in the bachelor. But it's not, you're exactly right. It's not the main focus of Privy. We're showing people how to be smart with data to find deals on market. So you don't have to skip trace, cold call, drive down the street, drive for dollars, do all that stuff. Let's just be really smart about the data and find deals. And what's interesting is we've done the research, we've looked at all of these historical flips, and somewhere around 40 to 45% of all of these flips that happened in the last year were originally purchased on market on the MLS. So a lot of wholesalers are dismissing those deals. They think you have to go off market, you have to cold call, skip trace, text blast, all that stuff, and are just dismissing 40% of all the fix and flips that are happening. So that's why this on market stuff is so valuable.
And another thing too, you know, when people start wholesaling, a lot of times there's a lot of emphasis on off market. But if you're just starting wholesaling, there's a very good chance that you're probably working a full-time job, and it really takes a lot of time to have to learn how to be a good salesperson on the phone and make all these phone calls, or you have to have the budget to hire a cold caller, or you have to have the budget to do some marketing to get some inbound leads. Like either you have to spend money or spend a lot of time. And some people don't have time and they don't have money, right? So what are you going to do? Privy is actually a really good solution for that. And there's a huge misconception that you can't find deals on the MLS. It's totally not true. So today we are going to debunk this rumor, okay? Is
Show
that
us
the word?
show us what you
Debunk.
got. Show us what you
Did I
got.
say it right? I've never used that word in my
Yeah, you did
life.
it. That was perfect.
Okay, cool. Perfect. All right, guys. So as you can see in the property filters here, we do have off market, absentee owners. We have, foreclosure, zombie properties. We also have little icons on the properties to see if they're corporate owned, if they're vacant, things like that. Tired landlords, owned for 20 plus years. They probably have some equity on the property. So we do have off market data. But again, that's something that a lot of these other softwares have too. So what makes Privy different is that if you don't have time and you don't have money, actually just by having a Privy account, you could start getting wholesale deals right away. So you can see on this tool, like on this side here on the left side, these are sold properties. So when you look at these sold properties, you can actually learn a lot about the market. And so what I just opened here, this is called a comparative market analysis. And we have built one of these. It's actually being built live 24/7 by our software for every single property in the United States. So Privy is a web-based application that works with any device that has an internet connection. So if you're even driving for dollars, you're just like in your neighborhood driving down the street and you want to get some information about a property, you could take and you could just put the address into actually you could put the address right up here and it'll pull up one of these cards for that property. I have no idea what I just did right here, but it doesn't matter. I'll just open another one, no problem. So yeah, it'll make a comparative market analysis for pretty much any property. So for this one, as you can see, it'll show you the beds, the baths, the square footage, like everything, right? We have all these different data sources coming in together to create these property cards. And you can see all the pictures of this property here. Um, and not only do we have the photos, but we also have the Google Street View. That's this one. No, it's not. It's this one. The right. Oh, why isn't it
There you
working?
go. That's it.
This one, right?
Yes.
Why isn't it working? It had to be
Try
just
to
the one
zoom.
I clicked
Yeah,
on that it
try to
didn't
try
work.
to try to zoom out a little bit, maybe. Oh, there's the
Anyways,
area.
we have an aerial view as well. So
So,
you
so what I wanted to point out to everybody about this is, and why this is important on Privy, is because if you're looking for comps on a lot of other software, you'll look at comps and you'll just see a number, right? You'll see, they say, okay, it sold for, $230,000, or in this case, $160,000. But when you're pulling the MLS data like Privy is, they're pulling all those photos too, so you can see that the comp has been remodeled, and somebody's renovated it. A fix and flip person has gone in and done it. So then that comp is accurate to a fix and flip property, right? Correct, guys? So
100.
the comps that you're using are properties that have been rehabbed and resold. So you know that those numbers are more accurate than just random numbers on another system.
Absolutely. And this live CMA that Jess is going to work through it's just an incredibly powerful tool, because as she goes through it, you'll see that this report, which we have for essentially every property in the country, is going to include all of the data you would need to analyze a property in one place. You don't need to be on, if you have MLS Access, you don't need to go to the MLS because we have it all here. You don't need to go to realtor.com and Zillow and Redfin to pull comps. And then you don't need to go find public record data. Everything is in one spot right here for every property. So Jess will show you that.
Okay.
Yeah. Actually, tons of real estate agents use Privy. They don't even need to go into like their MLS to do all this stuff because this is even more specific for investment properties. So for this one, I don't know, I clicked the one before that the street view didn't work, but here it works. And so we also have the aerial view. This is important because you want to see, like, is it next to a swamp? Like, what's in the area, right? Um, so you can see all the information here. If you are a licensed agent, you will see private remarks and all of the agent info. It does vary according to the market. Some markets, some MLSs are more strict about giving the agent info, but you know what? You just do a quick Google search. Every real estate agent has their contact info all over the internet. So you can see this is the details of the property. A lot of times, if it is a distressed property, it'll say like sold as is or perfect for an investor. Um, and then, you know, all of the info about the property is here. The next section is the comparables. So this is where our system actually runs comps for you. So I know I've been there where I've spent like hours of my life going through Zillow, Redfin, and Realtor.com and my spreadsheet and my calculator, going insane. Like, I know that feeling. So Privy is an amazing solution that literally just does it for you in a second. And you can already get an idea of what a property's worth. We're going to jump more into the comps a little bit later. But under the comp section, we do have the before and afters. So we put them next to each other. And for a property where it was sold on the MLS before, typically you would have the interior photos as well. So you're able to really see the transformation. We'll look at some other examples as
Jessica,
well.
what's the date difference on those between the before and after? I can't really see it.
Yeah. So this property was bought on um, 9,
September?
yeah, September 26,
Yeah.
2023. And then it was sold on January 30th,
So we
2024.
got like a 4 month spread there.
Yeah, and if
Okay.
you look down here under the picture, you can see that it was 108 days under
Yep.
construction. The hold time was 126 days, and it was only 18 days on the market, which is pretty good.
Yeah, that's good.
Um, and then you can also see more about this deal that they actually bought it at 74,480, and then they sold it for 160,000. So that means that they had a gross profit of 85,520. Obviously, that's not including the rehab cost. But they bought it at 47% of the ARV. So this is really good to know, because then you can, the more you see, like the more properties you look at like this, you can get an idea at what percentage of the ARV are the buyers buying in this neighborhood. Down here, you have a couple of different sections of the public records: the deeds, assessor records, mortgage history, property history, and tax assessment. If you're a wholesaler, this property history is going to be your best friend because you can see who the fix and flipper was. And so the end buyer is the retail buyer, but the one who sold it to them is the fix and flipper. So 2011 Cards LLC is the fix and flipper on this deal. So if you wanted to get their info, you could just right click and do a Google search. And then you can find them through Open Corporates and True People search and typically find a phone number. And then you already know pretty much what their buy box is, right? So they're buying in 63121 zip code in St. Louis. They're buying 3-bed, 2 baths, around 1,200 square feet. You already have an idea of what their buy box is, and you can give them a call and say, hey, my name's Jess. I saw that you flipped a property at 4808 North Hills Lane in St. Louis. And, you know, you can give them a compliment. I love what you did in the kitchen. That backsplash looks amazing. Anything you want, you know, just something that you like about the renovation. So it's like a warm intro, you know, so you're not like some weirdo that's like, hey, you want to be on my buyers list? But you're just like a real person. And obviously you did your research and, you know, I saw you did this deal And, I'm an investor in the area too. And sometimes I don't keep the deals for myself, but I do wholesale them. Are you looking to pick up more properties? And, it's an easy way to open up a conversation and not sound like you just started calling people yesterday, right?
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah, that really helps with building rapport. If you act like you know what they're, not just act like, but you know what they've been doing. You've seen what kind of work they've done. You know what properties they've worked on, versus just getting a cash buyer list from somewhere and, like Jess said, call them from out of the blue and just say, "Hey, you want to be on my buyers list, right?" And this gives you more, more information to build that kind of, good rapport.
Yeah, 100%. And if I could add one more layer to that, we have these before and after photos, which in this case, it was a public record deal. There are no photos publicly available, but in a lot of cases, there will be both before and after photos, which makes that conversation even stronger, where you can come in and say, you can see if this buyer is tearing the house down to the studs and rebuilding it, or rebuilding fire damaged properties or flooded houses, versus other buyers that you might work with are interested in doing paint and carpet. And it's great to have all kinds of buyers. So when you come across a property that needs down to the studs, rebuild the whole thing, you have a buyer for that. Versus this buyer, in this case, the house looks like it was in pretty good shape. They probably just did paint and carpet.
Right.
Based on those couple pictures that I see. So these before and after photos are going to be extremely valuable when you start reaching out to these wholesalers or to these end buyers.
yeah. And, actually, this property specifically, you could see here that it was bought on the MLS. So I'm trying to highlight it. It's not working,
And
but
Jessa,
anyways,
what ARV did they buy this at?
yeah, it's at 45% of the ARV.
I mean,
So
any investor in the world, any wholesaler in the world would love to find this deal at 45%. And they're cold
in
calling,
any market.
tracing in any market. And this person just was smart about data on the MLS and made an offer. Already motivated seller. This example right here is why Privy is valuable.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And sometimes buyers are like, "Oh, I won't buy deals off the MLS." Like, and from a wholesaler, right? And it's like, well, you could have found it yourself, but if a wholesaler found it and it's still at the percentage that you're looking for, like, why would you not buy it? Any like what do you call it? Like if someone is an experienced wholesaler, then they're not gonna be like petty about it. Like they just want to find deals. And if it works if the numbers work, then the numbers work, whether it's on market or not on market, right? Or off market. I guess that would be the opposite of on market, right?
Right.
Yeah. So here you can see the full transformation of this property. I mean, it is crazy what it looked like before, and even the photography, especially. Look how small this place looks before. It's totally like a different place, right? So you can see, like, this is the standard of renovations in St. Louis in this neighborhood. And then if you're going to end up fixing and flipping a property yourself at some point, then you already know that if you want to sell a property in St. Louis and you don't want it to sit on the market too long, and you want to sell it at 135,000, this is the level of renovations that people are looking for. So you already know where the bar has been set for this area. So now I guess we can transition, which actually, before I do that, I just want to make a point. You can, it's actually very effective if you were to go through like 15 to 20 of these sold properties, and you could go down to that public record section and find the buyer. And you can put all of that data into a spreadsheet. And when you get the buyer's info, you could fill up that spreadsheet with their phone numbers. You can even put here, at what percentage of the ARV did they buy it at, right? So this one that we were just looking at, if you go into the property history, you can see the seller is Kai Realty Group, LLC. So there you go. You have another buyer who buys in this neighborhood. And you know that they're buying at 45% of the ARV. But I'm going to show you guys a trick. You can actually go here to sort results and go to ARV. And I think it's the down arrow. And it will resort all of these to the buyers that paid the most, the flippers that paid the most. So let me see, before and after. Look at that. Well, this actually doesn't have a renovation here, but I'm just going to show you. They bought this property at 75% of the ARV, which is pretty high, right? And then you could go here to the property history, and it's Midwest Property Acquisitions LLC. This company is buying properties at 75% of the ARV. Even on the next one, I mean, this was
I was going to
18,000.
say, so you can build a list of people that are overpaying.
Yeah. And but really you can, right? You can. That's exactly what you can do. This one, I mean,
That's
this
interesting.
is still super cheap. I don't know if it's the best example, but you guys get the gist, right?
Well, it
So
is a good example because a lot of people flip those kind of properties. So, and properties like that, people are very motivated to sell a lot
right.
of the time. So,
Uh,
Yeah.
I
Hmm.
want to add one more piece. Are you about to hop, Jess, into how to find deals? Is that your next? That's your next step.
I know. Yes, yes.
So let
That's
me
what
add one more.
everyone's waiting for.
Can you add one more piece? Can you X out of this
Yeah.
one? Um, and go back to the map view. Yeah. So Jess showed you how you can go to each individual property and find the buyer. You can also, there's a download button. Jess, I don't even know if you know that. That down, you know where that is, right?
Yes.
I
I
thought
know
you
where the download button
would
is.
have called that out. So there's 119 properties on the screen right now. If you press that download button, we'll put into a CSV file or an Excel file every property and everybody that did the flip on every single one. So with 2 or 3 clicks of the mouse, we went to a neighborhood and figured out every single flip that happened, and then we figured out every single investor that did those flips with 2 clicks. So if you're talking about virtual wholesale, you want to go to a new market, and then you have to build your buyers list and all this stuff. There's no better way to build a buyers list than this. Look at all the flips, know who did all the flips on all of them. And I used to when I wholesale, I used to go on Facebook groups, and I would go, where are we? I would go to like St. Louis Investor Network Facebook group, and I would ask, who are the buyers? I got a wholesale deal. Where are my buyers? And I would get 50 people replying, and 30 of them wanted to JV my deals, and the other 20 had never done a deal in their life.
right.
Maybe I would get 1 or 2 real buyers, but this is a list of active investors currently doing deals today. They're not tire kickers. They're really doing deals. So to me, this is one of my favorite parts of Privy. 3 clicks of the mouse, we know every investor in the area, in any market in the country.
Yeah. Yeah. And then you go into that spreadsheet, copy and paste the name of the LLC. And, you can either
Right.
go to the state, division of corporations and look it up, get a mailing address for them. Well, this is going to have a mailing address, but, see if you can get a phone number for them. Google them, see if they have a website, where they've got a phone number or an email address or whatever, and just start building that database of flippers in that area.
100%. Or if you're lazy, spend the 15 cents to skip trace them 100,000 times over.
Yeah,
Whatever.
right.
And also, just while we're right here, you guys can see this is a newer feature that we have. I don't know why this guy's picture is not showing, but you can see investor-friendly agents right here. So if you are not physically in St. Louis or whatever market you want to do deals in, you can actually find an investor-friendly agent in the area who can be your boots on the ground and who can help you close deals. So this is a really good feature we have because you can call these people and they're not going to think you're like, oh, like you're a wholesaler, that everyone's like scared to talk to agents type of thing. But they actually use Privy. They know wholesalers are going to be calling them because they're Privy users, and
That's
that's why
very
they're
cool. Yeah.
featured inside of Privy. So we're opening a lot of ways for you to have already like warm intros, a warm intro with a real estate agent, a warm intro even with a buyer just by knowing about a property they flipped, right? So it's a totally different way of doing deals, but it has its benefits, right? Okay, so we have this green button right here, and what's really cool is that we have this patent pending technology where this flips the whole entire algorithm, like to show you what deals are on the market now. Because right now we're looking at sold properties, but we can flip the whole thing to look at active properties that you could write offers on right now. So whatever was considered a deal before, now it takes that algorithm and flips it to properties that are on the market right now. If you guys ever tried to find deals on the MLS, like if you had an MLS account or worked with someone who did or something like that, you know, you have to like flip through all these photos to try to find the ones that are distressed. Even if you're looking for deals on Zillow, let's say, and even on Zillow, it might be on the market. You still have to look through all the properties, and you could try to do keywords here and there to find the ones that are good deals. But Privy takes the actual numbers. What did properties sell for already? What are they selling for now? And what is considered a deal compared to everything else that has already sold there? And it will literally eliminate all of the retail properties and just show you the ones that are potential investment properties. Here and there, of course, there might be a hiccup because there's this, you're in a neighborhood where there's like a bunch of $100,000 houses, and then there's that one on the lake with the stable and the amusement park on the property that's for $8 million. And then it throws off the whole algorithm. Of course, that might happen, but it's not common, right? So this saves you a ton of time and just literally extracts all the deals out for you. So if you go into the filters, you can lower your percentage of ARV.
Go back to that one for a minute. That one that was on your list right there. If that, look at that one's been on the market for 231 days. Something up with that one, right? They might be motivated.
Yeah, they must be very motivated. And for some reason, people aren't buying it. And by the way, the only reason these are showing up at the top is because of how I sorted it. So I can change it to days on market, and then we're going to see the new ones pop up at the top,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, that
So,
looks like a distressed one too.
yeah,
Right?
this one looks
And
pretty.
I think that's to me, that's the beauty of Privy is this feature here, because you don't have to sort through that data. You don't have to scroll through listings to find the potential properties. This identifies for you, and you might, like you said, you might have to eliminate some, but a good majority of them are going to be the deals that you're looking for. See, this is a perfect one. That place needs to be updated.
Yeah,
Right?
and this looks way creepier on the outside than the inside, by the way. The outside is really creepy. But something that we actually never talk about in webinars are these icons, which is really cool. This shows this is an absentee owner. Do you see what it's doing? Oh, you don't see it. Do
Oh
you see
yeah,
what
we barely, yeah, up there on top. Yep.
it doesn't pop up. So on my screen, I don't know why it doesn't show there. This is there's a little pop up and it says absentee owner. Then for the cash sign, it's a cash buyer that owns the property. Then it says it's vacant, and then it says it's a zombie property. Zombie property is vacant and absentee owner. Right? Is that right, Scott? I
Yeah,
think
I
so.
think, yeah.
So it means like there's no one living there, and the person who owns it wasn't living there either. Right?
I thought zombie was also um I thought it was also foreclosure. No.
Yeah, I
No,
think
not in ours. Maybe somewhere else.
Okay.
I don't know. Maybe we need to.
But
It's
regardless, zombie sounds bad.
regardless. It's a zombie, right?
we got to double check the definition of zombie property.
It's definitely in our database. There's like a million definitions in there. So this is a property that's for sale right now, guys. Like you could literally, write an offer on it. So let's check out the numbers, okay? This is for sale for 59,900. So in this section, this is where you would see if there are any comps. So the red one means that there's a sold property and it's sold at 97,000, which is not a lot, right? So there's not a huge jump. This is definitely below market value, but if you were to sell it at 97,000, that means this property is at 62% of the ARV. If you were to sell it at 109,000, that would put this at 55% of the ARV. But this one is active, so you can't use it as a comp. However, this one's pending, and it's at 118,000. There is a difference in the bedrooms here. as you can see, and Privy's going mostly by the square footage. There's a certain square footage delta that it's going by. And you can also change the settings here. So there's a delta for the square footage set at 15%. For attached homes, it's actually at 10%. But you can change this. It doesn't have to have a basement. It also, you can change it to 0.7 miles. So you can also adjust the stuff in here to potentially get more comps. Something that I do want to show you is that you can change the filter, because right now we have it at 75%, but in St. Louis, you're probably going to be looking at like 60% of the ARV, right? And I also like to keep it a little bit higher because you can always put in offers, right? Just because something's put on the market at $100,000, it doesn't mean you can't put in an offer at 70,000 if the numbers make sense at 70,000. You just never know. They might approve it. So once I changed it to 60%, this property actually still showed up. And it was because there are comps over there that brought it to about 55% of the ARV. This is another one that just came on the market. It looks like they don't have interior photos yet. But when you go down to the comp section, there's a comp here for 114,000. So this one had already sold. If you want to see what the comp looks like, you can click right here and see if it actually works to be a comp.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah. And then again, if you want to search for days on market and you want to find stuff that's over 90 days, then you can do that too. 114, 105 days. Also keep in mind this one, third-party data. There are sometimes it comes in from like Redfin or realtor.com and it's not from the MLS, but we still have multiple data sources it brings it in from. But if you do use Privy, just keep in mind, I always try to just stick to the ones that say MLS because that's the most accurate. And I know that they're for sure on the market and it's not going to take me down the rabbit hole. However, if you do open something that says third-party data, it actually does have a link to where it's getting the data from. And you could click here where it says view external listing. And
How
it'll take you.
often are you syncing that third-party data? If you don't know, it's all right.
I don't really know, but on Redfin, it says right here that it's for sale active.
It's active. So there you go.
So
yeah, I want to double check that, David. I think it's once a day, but I got to double check that for you.
Okay, so that's still very good, right?
Yeah, but it's sometimes those websites are posting things that are not they're not accurate, right?
Sometimes.
It happens.
But it's a good, but it could be a good potential lead. I mean, still, you have to verify it, but it could still be a great lead. But you guys can see the power of this because every picture that Jessica's got on her screen there, those are all look like great wholesale deals, right? They all need work. They're distressed in some way. They, all the numbers work on them, right? So that's the power of Privy.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Jess, can you show how to save a search?
Oh, yeah. So what you guys can do here, this is an awesome feature because it basically replaces a virtual assistant. So let's say we have our filter here that we're looking for properties that are active, meaning they're on the market and they're 60% of the ARV. You can put in a specific zip code here if you want to, or a specific city. And you can then go to save search, and then you can click a folder to put it in. And you can also name your search. So let's say this is St. Louis. St. Louis, and then like 60%. So you can save this search, and then you can have these properties emailed to you up to every hour as they come on the market. And then you can put your email address. So you will literally be getting properties in your inbox as they come on the market that are only 60% of the ARV or better. in St. Louis. And that way, if you're working your full-time job and you see an awesome deal comes on the market, go take your lunch break or your bathroom break,
Right.
call
Yeah.
that agent, ask your questions.
I gotta run out to my car real quick. I'll be right back.
And
Yeah.
what I really like about that is, a lot of times a good wholesaler might have 5, 10 like really strong buyers that you want to focus on because they're quick, they'll close deals, they're easy.
Mhm.
If that's the case, understand what their buy box is, put in their whole buy box, all their criteria into the save search. For each one, you can set up 10 different save searches and just let us find the deals for you. You don't need to go in and run the searches every single time in Privy. Let Privy do the work.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you can have a different, you can actually have notifications set up for all of your different buyers, right? So if one of
Yeah.
them is looking in Philadelphia for properties that are over 2,000 square feet, and then another one is looking in St. Louis for properties that are 1,200 square feet, 3-bed, 2-bath, like you could literally have these notifications, these emails going off for your 5 different buyers, sending you deals to your inbox every single hour.
And
It's
just use their name as
Yeah.
the filter, right? So imagine the power of that, everybody, is having good conversations with flip guys in your neighborhood or in your market, and what they're buying. You say, what are you paying? What do you like? 3-bedroom, 2-bath, 1-bath, whatever. Get all their criteria and setting up those searches in here for, like Jessica said, for 10 guys or, 20 investors or whatever, and just emailing them to you, right? You verifying it. Hey, it's a great deal, and getting it under contract and flipping it to them. That easy.
Yep. And you can also, just so you guys know, the more you zoom out, the more properties come up, and the more you zoom in, the less properties there are. So it's always going to show you the amount that is in the screen. And then you can even use the drawing tool and say, I only want to find properties that are like, in this neighborhood, which there's nothing there, but you can be very specific, right? And then
Looking
there's
for
nothing.
swamp property or something.
Swamp properties, okay? But anyways, like that. Okay.
Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah.
What am I missing, Scott? You're the expert.
We got most of it covered. I know we've got like 5 minutes left. So David, I don't know if you wanted to, we've got a nice little special set up for your audience we can talk about.
Yeah, let's talk about that. So what Scott and Jessica are offering, and I've got a little banner that I've created for it. If you want to give Privy a try, they're going to give you 20% off your first month if you use the promo code Toolbox.
The best promo code ever.
But
you have to use the promo code for the discount. Otherwise, it doesn't work. And
so when you go to privy.pro and you go to sign up for Privy, there's going to be a little link that says, promo code, and you just click that and you write Toolbox in there and you'll get the 20% off for using the promo code. So, but for people that are, like you said, that are looking to simplify this, that they don't want to spend a lot of money on marketing. They don't want to, maybe they don't have time to go out and drive for dollars and do all these things that a lot of wholesalers do. This is a great method, right? You get Privy. You set up, you pick your markets, you set up your filters, you start talking to cash buyers in that area, finding out what they want, setting up the filters for them, and just letting the properties come to you, right? And running it that way, and just kind of let your marketing or your property system be on autopilot. I don't even want to say marketing because it's they're coming to your email. But let it be on autopilot for you. So if you're working another job or you don't have the time to go out and do all these things and search for properties, let Privy do it for you, and then just start playing matchmaker.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And David, you don't have it on your banner, but there's actually a better piece of this promo is on the annual sale.
It's
tell me about that.
Discount.
My banner's only so big.
So it's the same promo code. It's Toolbox. And if you just want to try it out for a month, It'll give you 20% off, which is, just a nice little savings on the first month. If you want to dive in and try it for the whole year, it'll give you 30% off of a whole year of Privy, which is like a $400 savings.
It's actually 20% off plus 30% off, because if you pay for the year, it's 20% off on our website. If you use David's promo code, it's actually 30% off in addition to that already 20%. So it's actually massive. So the original prices for the monthly is $149. So if you use the promo code, it comes down to $119. If you do the annual, it's usually like $1,700. If you don't use the promo code, it's $1,400. If you use the promo code, it's like $999. So it's a massive
That's
discount.
massive, yeah.
And let me tell you,
and again, that's way too much to put on a banner. Like it would have filled the whole screen.
But the thing is, guys, like if you get one deal, it more than covers it, and this helps you get way more deals. So we
Yeah.
have users that like they've said they would pay $5,000 a month for Privy because they've literally made that much money off of it.
Oh, God, you pay for this in one deal. I mean, be
Yeah.
serious. It could be the worst wholesale deal in the world, and you would make enough to pay for it.
Right.
Right.
Exactly.
So, Randy's
I-
asking what property types does Privy work with, and I'm going to venture to say residential land and houses
Pretty much
Just houses?
anything that would be listed on
on
the
the
MLS. That's
right?
single family. We don't have land right now. But we do have single family and small multifamily that's listed on the MLS.
Okay, yeah. So not commercial, Randy, but residential property. Jacqueline said she just bought Privy yesterday. I'm going to assume you guys don't want me to tell her to cancel and get it with my promo code.
Jacqueline, can you send me an email? We can, if you paid the normal price, I'll see what I can do for you. I'll see if we can use this toolbox promo code for you.
There you go.
I'm gonna put my email in the chat one more time. If you already signed up yesterday, I'm gonna see what I can do. No promises.
No promises. No promises, guys.
But
Scott's just talking now. He's probably been drinking and he's just saying things. There will be a replay. Everybody asking if there's going to be a replay. There is going to be a replay of it. It will be. I'm streaming this live to the YouTube channel, so it will be on YouTube under the live section. But there will be a replay in Wholesaling Partners in the replay tab of Wholesaling Partners. Scott, you were answering some questions as we went along. So somebody was asking about the expired listings, and you said you guys were working on that kind of stuff.
But you could look for listings that are almost expired, right?
You could do that. You could
totally do a search for the properties that have been on the market like the longest and that are about to have no pulse, right?
Right. Rodney, you, when we were talking about, like, I was joking about, like, you can make a list of people that were overpaying for properties. And Rodney asked, how do we know 75% is overpay? You don't, because it really depends on the property condition. 75% might be a great deal for an investor if all they have to do is go in and, throw some carpet down and put a coat of paint on it. Right. So it just depends on how much work it needs. So, I kind of said that, fooling around, but you can't go in there and see what people are paying for them, or, is the average, AR, not ARV, but the price they're paying, is it typically 65%, 60%, 50%? So you can go in there and just see what they're doing. And then, then when you have that conversation with them, you can say, hey, what's your max pay price? What's your max all-in number? And just get that information from them and set up their criteria in the search for them, that is something in line with what they're currently paying.
Yeah. And I just want to add to that too. The way that Privy identifies if something was sold as an investment property and listed as an investment comp is by 75%. If it was bought below 75% of the ARV, then it's considered that it was probably an investment deal. So like David said, in every market it's different, right? In St. Louis, you might be looking at 60% of the ARV. In Cleveland, you might be looking at 40% of the ARV. in Los Angeles, you might be willing to do 80% of the ARV. And especially, yeah, you just have to paint it, put some lipstick on it, you know, then that's a deal for some people. So it's different in every market, but 75% is a pretty decent average. And even 75% will barely fly in most markets. But in some of them that are super high demand and the buyers are, you know, high volume, buy and hold,
Yeah.
long-term rental buyers, then they might be willing to pay that.
In Detroit, we called those quick rehabs. We just called it a splash and dash. But you know what? So you don't need a lot of gross profit in those deals. You can
Yeah,
just do them cheap and
they
go.
call it a wholetail now, right?
Wholetail, right? Wholetail.
Wholetail. So
Yeah.
it's not wholesale, it's wholetail. You just put some paint and sell it because it's livable, even though it's not like a five-star
Right.
hotel.
And some, you know, let's face it, some investors that are buying and hold, you know, buy and hold investors, you know, they do that. They're looking for properties that they can just go in. They, you know, they don't need a ton of repairs. Maybe like this one on your screen right now, right? They buy
Mhm.
that property and they go in and they just, you know, they paint it and they, you know, they throw some cheap carpet in because every time they get a tenant, the tenant tears up the carpet anyway, and they're good to go, right? Um,
It's actually in
so
pretty good shape.
yeah, right. So that one's, you know, they might resand the floor in that one, throw some paint on it and be good to go. Right.
Yep.
Or, you know, if they're not planning on flipping it for a big profit margin, right? That one's, this house is livable for a rental property, right? They just go in and clean it up and away they go. So on that property, you might, you know, if you could get it for, you know, 15, 20% under ARV, right? It would be a great deal for a buy and hold investor.
Yeah, look at that, guys. There's a comp here for 135,000 it sold. So it was, if this is a good comp, that puts this property at 44% of the ARV. And considering it doesn't need massive work, at least that, not that we know of, right? Obviously, the siding is different in this one, which, by the way, brick siding is usually more valuable than
Yeah.
vinyl siding, which is something good to know. So this might not be even the best comp because a brick siding is actually more valuable. And the house that we're looking at, the subject property, is actually brick. So, but there is a property that sold, sorry, now I'm like lost, but there is a property that sold for 135,000, which puts this at 44% of the ARV. So honestly, this is a good deal, guys.
Great
Right
deal, right?
here. Like you can, oh, and this is another feature we didn't show you. You can send these properties to your real estate agent. You can send it to an investor, a buyer that you're working with, your partner, your family member. You could send it to them and they're actually open, they're able to open this whole comparative market analysis, even if they don't have a privy account. You could be sending deals to someone all day long. So this is a deal right here. You know what I'm wondering? We don't have that feature anymore, Scott, where we could like, how do we do that? Because the link is not here, right?
Yeah.
They removed the share link.
It's in there when you send the email. There's some sort of compliance issues with having the link here, but when you press send, there will be a link to this deal.
All right.
Gotcha.
Now you guys all know my email address. All right. So if you guys want this deal,
So
does
right
anybody
up on,
want this deal?
oop, I think you missed the link. I think you missed the link. It said share property up on top. Maybe
Oh
not.
no, I already did it and it emailed it to me. So what I'm
Okay.
going to do is I'm going to open it up and I'm going to share this link with you guys. There's a chat in here
Yep.
because this is a good deal and you can write an offer literally right now. Obviously do a little bit more research, but it's a good deal.
I want to answer. Rodney asked what on the property that had over 200 days on market, what would the conversation look like with the agent? Rodney, honestly, it looks just like any other conversation you would have. You would talk about, you talk about the property, what's, what kind of repairs it needs. I mean, you're seeing the pictures of it, but does it need a furnace, a hot water tank? How old's the roof? All the questions that you would typically ask. You would, come up with some, some kind of estimate of repairs on it, like, you do your calculations on it. And then you would put it under contract, like you would put on any other property under contract. So it's, the only difference is you're dealing with an agent versus the owner, but the agent is collecting their money from the seller. So it's not, it's not going to be any different for you. So.
Yeah. And it's just, you have that knowledge, knowing that it's been on the market for 200 days, you can kind of approach that conversation thinking in the back of your head that they might accept a little bit of a lowball offer.
Oh God. Yeah. Right. So guys, before Privy, and I've known investors that had this strategy, what they would do, they would go in, they'd align with the broker, and they would have the broker pull up properties that had been on the market for, say, over 120 days. And then they would have the broker write an offer on every property that had been on the market over 120 days or 180 days or whatever it would be. And they would say, write the offer for 50% across the board. So on this house, they'd write an offer for $30,000, right? And this across the board, any property, write an offer for 50%. Now, in the contract, it said, if you accept the offer, we have a right to go inspect it and can cancel after inspection. But they said, we don't even care what the property is. As long as it's a single family residence with 3 bedrooms, write the offer, right? And then if somebody either came back and said, okay, we accept, or came back and said, you know what, we can't do 50%, but maybe we can do 60%, right? Or whatever. Then they would go and look at the property and look at the comps and do all that stuff. But Privy eliminates the need to have a broker do that, right? Privy go out and do it for you, right? And bring in all the properties that are for sale at a discount. So all you have to do is sort through them and go, this one fits this guy's criteria, this one fits her criteria, and just dole them out and see who's interested, put them under contract and assign the contract. Boom, done.
Absolutely. That easy.
Right? I mean, it really is. I know if you're brand new, you're nervous about talking to an agent or doing that. But once you do one or two, it is that easy, right? Yeah. You're just finding the properties. You're playing matchmaker with your investors, and you're putting the deal together. Everybody signs everything. It's to the title company, and you're off to do the next one, right? And go pick up your check at closing.
Sounds so simple.
It's so simple. For a guy like me, it's just so simple, but seriously, it is, once you start doing deals, it is pretty simple.
Yeah.
Is there a filter on Privy for over 6 months on market? How far can you go out? I mean, you can set that filter, right? For 180 days.
Yeah. Do you want to just pull up a filter real quick, Jess?
Yeah.
Rodney's got all the questions for us.
They're good questions. Yeah. Yeah. Scroll down. So here's days on market, timeline or date range. You can use all of these things. So you could filter, you only want to see houses that have been on the market, going back 6 months or whatever. You can play around with all of those things. Nice.
Hey, Tim, I'm here Tim says he's buying in St. Pete and in Greensville, South Carolina. I am in St. Pete. So, if you get anything good going down here, let me know. I got a couple buyers down here. So yeah, guys, I want to say a couple things. One, I like, if you're going after on-market properties, I love Privy. It's an awesome software. It's built well. It reacts fast. A lot of systems get bogged down quick, but yours is very responsive, and I like Privy a lot. Two, I think Jessica crushed this. She did such a good job. I had Benson do it, and I like Benson, but he's very monotone, and you gave it some energy, and I really like that.
I think I'm monotone sometimes.
I think you're the designated Privy specialist for wholesaling partners.
Oh my gosh.
All
right. I guess this isn't the last of me.
Because you didn't if you would have screwed it up, I would have been like, you know what, I'm never going to have her on a webinar again in my life. But you did well. and I appreciate it. And I think it went really good.
Well, I'm glad my 2 weeks of practice paid off. All right, guys.
Everybody,
I want to show one last thing here. Wait, David.
Oh, do it.
If you guys sign up for Privy, which of course you should, keep in mind too. And by the way, even if you're not putting in offers for on-market deals, Privy is amazing just for comping, right? If you're doing high investor activity neighborhoods, even if your strategy is off market and you don't even want to do on market because you want to spend money and you want to spend time on doing off market deals, then you could even just use this for comps. A lot of people do that too. It's a really good tool for comps, for super fast comps. We have this learning center here, and you could literally, Rodney, you could type in all your questions.
Yeah, you know what's funny? You get a lot of people in like the Facebook groups and all the wholesaling groups and everything, and they're always like, I need to connect with a investor friendly realtor. How do I get access to the MLS and all that stuff? Here's the answer to that, right? Here's your access to the MLS if you want it.
Yeah. Every time I click Learning Center, it doesn't show on the shared screen, but this is where you guys do it. You just click Learning Center and you could type in questions just like you would in Google, and the article or video will come up in Privy and show you how to do it. And then that's pretty much it. I'm going to log out here so you guys can see if you decide you want to get Privy today. Here. Oops. Just go to privy.pro. And again, this we gave this massive discount for David that other people don't get. So for that annual plan, that's a massive deal. Sorry, I keep doing the wrong thing. All right, get Privy. I can't talk and do things at the same time. So get Privy, right? Then you see there's an annual and there's the monthly. So depending what you want to get, obviously, are you an agent? Do you have a license? No, then you would pick investor. If you want to do the annual one, then just make sure right here where it says, do you have a promo code? You would click there and you would type in toolbox. All right. And then it'll, when you do that, what happened? Update. Yeah. Update price. And then it's 1,000 for, what is this?
That's not right.
Okay.
It's $12,000 a year.
No, it says billed yearly.
1,000 for the first 30 days. That's interesting. It's going to be $1,000 a year, but I got to talk to our engineers.
It's a typo. Yeah. It says billed yearly, so don't worry. They're not charging you again after 30 days.
Yeah, no, it goes from, so guys, it goes from $1,428 a year to $1,000 a year. Right.
Yeah. So it's definitely a deal.
All right, guys. So everybody on here, we have about 25 people. All go sign up right now and get Privy. And again, if you guys are not in Wholesaling Partners, go to my.wholesalingpartners.com and sign up for the community. It's free to join, and we do a lot of good stuff in there. And thank you guys for spending your Wednesday night doing this for me and showing off your software. I appreciate it.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone, for joining us and for giving me great practice today.
Thanks for having us, David.
We'll have you guys back.
All right. Thanks so much.
Okay. Bye, everybody.